Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Gavin here, back to the video. Today's episode, we'll be taking a quick look at the Season 10 Pulverize Druid, which is currently probably the best build in the game for pit pushing. It's a pretty easy to pick up build. So yeah, just wanted to quickly go over how you can get started with this build. This is going to be more geared towards beginners, just kind of getting the build up and going. We're not going to go into like the high-end pit push items, mythics, all that. We're going to be focused more on the starter and ancestral items and aspects. That being said, let's just kind of quickly go over some of the pros and cons. So really good pit pushing build. The highest pit pushing, probably the best overall rated pit pushing build in the game right now. So it's really good with pit pushing. It's really good with bossing. It's pretty easy to gear, and it's pretty easy to play as well. One of the minor cons of this build is it's sort of a moderate speed build. So I would not run this build if you're trying to power farm something, if you're leveling and you're just trying to go from point A to B as fast as you possibly can. This is not the best build for that. So yeah, overall, it's a semi-ranged build, has really good AoE damage, really good defenses, great at bossing at really high difficulties. It just really hindered a bit by its mobility. Again, a minor weakness. So yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into, I guess let's start with some of the core items of the build. So your main item that you're going to be farming for is going to be Rotting Lightbringer. And Rotting Lightbringer is really strong because this is going to create a puddle of poison around your character anytime that we cast our Pulverize ability. And this is going to basically cause our Pulverize to overpower. So this is an overpower build. And the idea here is to create as many puddles as you possibly can in one specific area. To farm this item, you're going to be killing Echo of Varshan, and he requires Malignant Hearts to be able to loot him. So, that's kind of where you want to focus right off the bat, is getting this item. That's really the only core unique. The other uniques here, Vasili's Prayer, our Werber skills will fortify us, so a very good defensive item. Insatiable Fury is also really nice. This is going to make Werber basically a permanent form for us. So this is good because a lot of the skills that we run are Werber. So our Trample, our Debilitating Roar, our Grizzly Rage. So all these skills are going to be getting plus to their rank, right? One thing that I did miss really quick on Vasili's Prayer is your Earth skills are now Werber skills. And that's really strong due to Earthen Devastation that we're taking on our Paragon Board. So your Earth skills deal 10% increased critical strike damage, increased by 20% of your damage versus crowd control bonus. So now everything benefits from this, essentially. Everything is an Earth skill. And the last unique will be Tyrant's Will for that 40% damage reduction while unstoppable. And we do increase damage while unstoppable. And you are unstoppable a very significant portion of the time due to our Grizzly Rage here. We have the modifier, you're unstoppable while Grizzly Rage is active. And then over here on the very left, we have our Trample as well. Shapeshift into a Werber, you become unstoppable and charge 4. So another thing that's going to be very core to us is going to be our Brawn over Brains here. So this is going to give us a ton of overpowered damage and a max life. We do get the reduced maximum resistances, which does kind of stink. However, due to this build running so many different uniques, I guess a better way to phrase this is we're able to fit in more uniques that lack max resist. Right? So since we're not able to stack as high of a resistance, we're not required to build some of these high resistance items, and we can focus on some of these other items that in turn give us other benefit. But really, the main bonus of this is that increased overpower damage. So this is going to be one of the key chaos perks you want to run. We already talked about Earthen Devastation. There is one aspect that I want to go over really quick, and this is Rampaging Werbeast. So we talked a little bit earlier about Grizzly Rage and how it can make us unstoppable, etc., etc. So with this aspect, the duration of Grizzly Rage is increased by 10 seconds. In addition, critical strike while Grizzly Rage is active, increase your crit strike damage up to a maximum of 100%. So what we're trying to do with our Grizzly Rage is we're trying to temper everything that we possibly can into Grizzly Rage, and we're basically wanting to have permanent uptime on our Grizzly Rage and be permanently unstoppable, because that factors in so well with our Tyrant's Will. And then if you're not familiar with what Grizzly Rage even does, while we're in it, we're basically permanently unstoppable. We get tons of bonus damage, we get damage reduction, we can extend it through overpowering, etc., etc. It just fits great into this build. Okay, let's go ahead and quickly talk about our skills. We're putting 1 point into Claw and then 1 point into Enhanced Claw. And this is going to shape us into Werewolf. And you'll be rotating this spell with your Pulverize. So we're rotating these two spells back and forth to stack something called Quick Shift. So Quick Shift is down here in the very bottom left of your tree. And as we shapeshift between these different forms, we're getting this increased damage stack. And that goes up to 36%. Now, you only want to do that before you go into your Grizzly Rage. And then once you're in your Grizzly Rage, you'll just be spamming your Pulverize. Right? Pulverize here going to give us that overpowered damage. It's going to work really well with those Rotting Lightbringer puddles. Putting 1 point into Cyclone Armor for that passive defensive, so 20% non-physical damage reduction. 1 point into Debilitating Roar. Going to give us a very brief just moment of damage reduction. 1 point into Trample. You're just going to kind of use this for mobility more than anything else. This will give us Unstoppable as well. And then a whole bunch of points into Grizzly Rage. And again, you want to maintain as much uptime on Grizzly Rage as possible. You want this to pretty much be permanent. Moving on to our key passive here is going to be Earth Sign Strength. This synergizes with our Overpower bonus, Overpower build, so just makes sense to run this. Gives us a pretty nice chunk of max life as well. In terms of our Spirit Boons, this right here is what I'd recommend running. Gift of the Stag. I would pair these two boons up, swooping attacks with Avian Wrath. If you have enough attack speed, you can actually go into Advantage Beast for that additional movement speed, which does help quite a bit late game. But if you're lacking attack speed, go into swooping attacks here. We'll also be taking Energize, dealing damage a chance to refund our spirit, and then Masochistic down here to give us a little bit more sustain. In terms of our runes, we're going to be running Igni and Lum down here. This is going to restore a bunch of our primary resources. And this goes really well because we're attacking so fast in this build. You're able to proc this a whole bunch. And this also helps offset some of the spirit drain from Purge the Infected. So core skills apply 30% of their base damage as poison damage. And then as we damage those targets, we're spending spirit for guaranteed critical strikes. So this just kind of helps offset that spirit spend. And then we're also running Ahu and Quacks. So casting skill other than a basic or defensive skill consumes all of our primary resources and increases our damage for 100% for 1 second. So just a nice burst of damage. Yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. If you want to check out this specific build, just go ahead. I'm going to leave a link in the description of the video. This is a public build. You guys come out and check it out. If you want to look at the Paragon board, we got a Paragon tab here, and you can kind of zoom in. And, you know, you can just bookmark this link somewhere and just come to it whenever you need it. Just take a quick look at our legendary nodes. We are running Survival Instincts. So this is going to give us increased damage at max life and a more increased overpowered damage. So that just kind of makes sense. Over here on the Spirit board, we're running Heightened Malice. It just makes us do more damage to poison enemies. Moving up into our Dominate board, we're running Ancestral Guidance. So your ultimate skill does 1% increased damage per spirit when cast. And then we deal 40% increased damage after spending 75 spirit. And then moving on to Earth and Sky, we're running Earthen Devastation. So we did talk about Earthen Devastation earlier. Your Earth skills will do increased critical strike damage, since all of our skills are now Earth skills with the uniques that we run in this. Yeah, guys, that's going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. See you in the next one.